All right, the time is now 5:30, and we will call the special board meeting workshop for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 into session. First item on the agenda is public comment, and we did not have anybody sign up tonight, so we will move into agenda item 2, discussion and possible action item. Discussion of and request for approval to hire the principal for Abel Junior High School. Mr. Reyes, we welcome you to the podium.
Today, Mr. Reyes' first official day.
Well, we're right up.
To the podium. Wow.
President Murray, members of the board, Dr. Howard, it is my pleasure to recommend Ms. Amy Overton as the next principal of Abel Junior High. Ms. Overton has 15 years of administrative experience and 18 years of teaching experience. She is currently serving as the assistant principal at Legacy Freshman High School. Ms. Overton brings experience in working with the Abel feeder pattern, creates strong structures and procedures, and builds positive relationships with staff, students, and the community. I recommend you approve to hire the principal for Abel Junior High, Ms. Amy Overton.
A motion by Mr. Bishop, a second by Mr. Booker. Any discussion? Ms. Overton, you want to give your speech now?
That's all. Thank you. Do I have to give a speech?
No, I was just easy. Okay, all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited. Got a blue on. That's what I said. That's right. Abel blue on. Thank you, sir.
Now, what y'all all been in attendance for, I know y'all came to that for was the budget workshop. It's agenda item number 3, and Mr. Dodds, welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Board President Murray, trustees, Superintendent Dr. Howard. This is our second budget workshop, and some of this you have seen before. Some of it is different. I wished all mine skills was as good as Mr. Reyes. Get up, and, at least y'all didn't do him like the beginning legislators do and give him a hard time, that kind of thing. Welcome, Mr. Reyes, to your new position. That's great. Glad to have you. As we are working in the second budget workshop, oh. All right. Sorry. You got to turn it on. As we're working on, this is our agenda, our playing calendar, our district trends, the 22-23 current budget, what our forecast is to end that, and then our budget development moving into next year. As we start with our calendar, we did our first budget workshop April 11th. We're currently in our second budget workshop, and we'll have our third budget workshop on June 6th. There we go. Some of the board actions you see, this was on the last one, but adoption of the compensation plan, we're still planning for June 6th. Approval of the 22-23 final budget amendment for the 6th, excuse me, for the compensation plan. Adoption of the 23-24 original budget, the adoption, and we will get into next year as we go for the attendance credits for Chapter 49, which is recapture, and then we'll do a tax rate in September. Right now, we have received our estimate for certified taxable values, and we will go through that here in just a little bit. And then on June 16th, we will have our notice sent out by Midland County Appraisal District for our budget and tax rate notice. And then receipt of our estimated values will be July 25th. The last few years, we have not received our certified values then. We have only received an estimate. And so that's what I'm expecting this year also, and that's one of the reasons why we will not set a tax rate until September. As we look at what our district trends are for the student teacher trends, this was the same slide as we did last time, with the exception that down here on the right here on the right, we did put that this did not include IDEA or Travis for teachers. The student population is considered ours, so they are in that count. Our tax rate history, and I built this summary on the estimates of House Bill 100 that's going through the legislature right now. So these estimates changed just a little bit, some with the value change that we were estimating and some different. I will restate that anything that is the basic allotment change and anything else that it goes along with House Bill 100, other than the golden penny increase, Midland ISD will not receive anything. The biggest thing in House Bill 100 is the extension of former transition grant. And, you know, we need to thank our representative, Speaker Crowdy, for championing that amendment that allowed Midland ISD to be in the group that would be extending former transition grant.
And that's till 27?
It's 29-30 school year, so 2029-30 school year.
Okay.
So right now, our estimates are 84.11 cents for our M&O tax rate, and still leaving the 702 cents for our interest in sinking debt service tax rate, for a total of 911.30. Our district trends. Since we did get our property values, our estimate, we went ahead and filled in what that looks like. You see what the blue is the estimate that we received in April. The red line with the dot is actually the certified values. You see, we usually get a conservative estimate in April, and then when we do receive our certified values, they are a little bit higher than what they all have been in the past. But right now, that estimate is 47.9 billion, compared to what our certified values, if you look down, is at 44 point, actually 2 billion. This changed the estimate on our recapture in this budget year. So we still are estimating what we will pay for this current year, because as our attendance has been on the rise, and so those are some of the things that will decrease. The more attendance we have, it will actually decrease what our recapture is. And right now, the way we have our estimates for students and what our property values are, our estimated is at 175 million for the next budget year. This is getting into our budget and forecast update for our current budget. So right now we have estimated our total revenue at 471,828,391. You can see the breakdown of what our revenue is at 370,793,000 for our tax collections. Our state is up here in the gray at 64,103, 64,103,000, and then other revenue and the rest of it to make up 471 million. And this is how we've spent it so far and estimated to spend it so far. A total expenditure so far of 439,904. 36% of that goes into is budgeted for recapture, 33% in instruction. And then you can see all the different areas of the budget in which we spend the percent that is spent in that. To finish out the budget, you saw there was a difference between what our revenue is and what our expenditures is. This is what we are working on to help the district, our deferred maintenance, and you'll see the asterisks that have been approved by the board so far. The ones that have not, we will be bringing, these are estimates on what we will be doing. You see what we've worked, what we consider deferred maintenance, which is more, air conditioning, parking lots. This is stuff that's been through the board meetings, roofs. We've had the BC tile at the districts, and that was done because they redone the carpet, but didn't redo the tile, so we're redoing those tile projects. The playground, we have done some buses, but we're also looking at the 14 passenger buses that don't require CDL. The buyout of the vehicle leases, and this is just sort of a budget saving moving forward. This is in K, and then the buyout of the Jones portables, which none of these have gone to the board yet, but will.
Do we need to wait until after the presentation to ask questions? Okay.
So moving into what our general fund balance is, you can see as it has grown through the year. Right now we have 5.4 months of operating expenses, operating money that we could, if we didn't receive another dime of revenue, we could operate for 4.5 months, 5.4 months. Good gracious, tongue tied up here. And then that's based off the total expenditures that we're estimating for the year.
And there are times in the year where money isn't.
It is, and so, for fund balance, we use that as a cash flow management because we normally just receive most of our money in December, January, and February. You saw how much we have in tax collections. So throughout the year, the fund balance is actually helping fund cash flow for payroll and everything else until we start receiving money again. So moving into the assumptions for for next year, you can see the tax rate and everything currently right now is at total M&O tax rate is at 8,446. It's not changing much just because of the way the template is showing under current law. We know that there's several bills that are going through the legislature that will probably decrease that total M&O tax rate, but I'm not going to estimate what they're going to do until we can get something more final. I am basing enrollment or membership at 28,125, and that's really a 1% increase when we started the budget process. If you look at what our demographers have said, they're at 28,356. I'm just being a little more conservative. So we just, if we get more students and we have better attendance, then that means we'll be able to do different things when the budget started going. You can see our values. We went ahead and put our values, our average daily attendance. If you just go in here and multiply 92.65 times that, it's going to be a total different number. But you have to remember, pre-K is figured on half day, and we have over 1,000 in pre-K. So that is why you can't just do that. And there's some other factors in there that change that, but I do get questioned on that from time to time. That doesn't add up. Well, it's not figured the same way as you would just do a regular percentage. Our current values is we received the estimate, and then our total collection rate, this is just on current, is 98.5. And sometimes it's 99, sometimes it's 97. It fluctuates from year to year, but that's very good. When you get delinquents, sometimes it pushes it up past that. So this is what we're estimating our total revenue to be for next year. This will change as bills are being passed, this will change, because if the tax rate is compressed for, that, then our total revenue will be down, and so our recapture will be down. Those type of things will interact together. But right now, our total revenue in property taxes is 395 million. Other revenue at 10 million, state revenue at 58, then our 1882 is at 8.9, and then federal, and then TRS on the half. It's the same in the revenues as the expenditures. That's just sort of a flow through that. Whatever that is in revenue, it's the exact same thing in the expenditure. These are some of the budgeted assumptions. We are gonna do employee salary increases. We have to wait to see what that will be, just due to legislation and the comp manual. We're still planning on a health insurance-based plan that's covered by the district. We're looking at changing the district-wide elementary income system, district-wide secondary audio-visual upgrades, and some teacher computer refresh. And then this is by function, what our total budget would be. The 489 million is the exact same thing as our revenue. And so you'll see what recapture is, what instruction is, and then the rest of the budget. We haven't seen this. This was on to introduce you to our child nutrition budget. And so our child nutrition budget, you'll see, is estimated in a deficit. That is because they have worked their plan out with the Texas Department of Agriculture. They can only have so much fund balance, and then it's considered excess. So they had made an amendment in this current year, but due to supply chains and different things like that, we're still working to do and spend that 4 million that we did a budget amendment on that would go into fund balance this year. But just in case, we went ahead and extended part of that into this next year. But this is all a plan that has been approved by the Texas Department of Agriculture through our CNS department. And so to work down on that excess fund balance. This is the revenue, how we did in, you see revenue, federal revenue, and then our other revenue, local revenue, and then of course we get a little sliver of state revenue. And this is how they propose to for their budget, 44% in professional and contracted services. You remember we contracted this out to Chartwell, so a lot of the food and everything is actually built inside this professional contracted services. We still have quite a few people that work for Midland ISD that works in child nutrition. And then this is the 21% and is normally towards taking down that fund balance. As we look at our proposed budget for debt service, you'll see our revenue is mainly tax collections for property taxes, other local revenue, and then a real small sliver of state revenue. And then we will have, doing the same thing we're looking at this current year, where we will make our payment and then we will do an escrow at the end of the year to pay down callable debt that will save the district a lot of future interest savings. Now, right now, in one of the presentations I've seen, since Midland has been doing that, they've saved over $55 million in future interest payments for the district and taxpayers. So that's a great program to have. Just a reminder of what we've got coming up. We'll have our TASB review, and then also adoption of compensation plan. We will publish our tax rate in the newspaper, and that's done by Midland County Appraisal District. They do that for us. And then we'll have our, budget approval and final budget amendment on the, June 26th. I'd like to, thank Arturo and, Jackie for all the help they have in putting this together. I tell them what I want and then they figure it out. They try to figure out what I'm saying and then put it up here. So thank y'all for everything y'all do. All right, questions?
Mr. Bishop?
On the buyout, on all the enterprise vehicles, how many vehicles are we talking about?
He's gonna ask that, and I'll get that information to you. I think it's somewhere, I don't wanna give you a number, but let me get you that information and I'll get that to you.
Okay,
We started that program about 2 years ago, where we started doing the lease program. We looked at what we were doing in the past, buying vehicles, and then the enterprise program, which there's a lot of companies here in Midland that actually follows through that enterprise program. But that allows us to buy the vehicle or lease the vehicle for however long we want to, 3 to 5 years. If it's something like a police vehicle, that's probably gonna put about 30,000 miles a year, those are probably gonna be on a faster cycle. They are, as long as they're on the lease program, they are allowed to use the maintenance program that is offered by Enterprise. So they can go, if they need to change the oil, if they can go to any service center and get the oil changed or tires or whatever they need to look at. And then also they provide, if something happens to one of our vehicles, Enterprise will do a cost estimate on what that should be. And so when we're looking at repairing a vehicle, they will look at what they're saying and say, nope, that's too high, or this actually is above what that vehicle is worth. And then we will work on a plan to get it. Also, you've seen all the auctions we've had out there on old vehicles. These vehicles are built in, if we want to get rid of them in 5 years, they will take those vehicles, apply the difference that they will give us on that vehicle, and that will be lower the new vehicle that we'll be replacing that with. So we don't have to sell those vehicles. They will take those vehicles back and sell them and then apply that to the new vehicle amount. So our lease payments will be going down once we reach that apex.
And this is the same thing on the buyout of the portables?
The portables, we looked at that last year. These the portables we had at YWLA that has since moved, but these were those portables over there behind Jones. And so there was on 2 years. This was the last year before we re-up, and we just need to, instead of having a budget, that lease payments, better just go ahead and pay that off.
Okay, anybody else have, you have some,
Let me add just one thing, Mr. Strauss. Also on that, we looked at last year, the fact that if we were to turn those back, it was gonna cost us more money, or almost the same amount of money as for us just to pay them off and keep them.
If I remember right, the charge was somewhere around $490,000.
And we are utilizing. those.
We are utilizing.
John's not there, so.
Yeah. So I believe we've got one of our daycares in there, and then there's the EAP, we started.
Mr. Bishop?
okay, the other question I have on the budget revenue assumptions. And I guess the question that we talking about enrollment, but compared to last year's enrollment versus this year's enrollment, where we at on numbers?
So, on that one sheet, I do have snapshot to what we're estimating the snapshot is. So those enrollment, get back to it.
Are you asking current shows 27,842 compared to what we built the budget on last year? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I think I can tell you, we built it on a much lower enrollment, because we weren't expecting a 5% growth. So we grew 5% from what was originally, or what last year's enrollment was based off, and we did a 1% growth from last year, from the end of the year to what we were budgeting. So we ended up growing almost right at 5% this year. So it's helped the budget out tremendously. A lot of them, we just need to work on that 88 to get that up.
Okay. And then the last question, maybe I missed it while I was writing something down, but, will it be a change based on enrollment versus, right now it's based on our attendance. So is that law going to change based on the enrollment, versus what your attendance rate is?
Right.
Average daily enrollment.
Yeah, right now, it is not in House Bill 100. It's still based on average daily attendance. Now, House Bill 100 is changing some of the allotments to enrollment-based allotments. CTE is one of them. SPED is another one that we're looking at. And I think there's been several bills to change it to enrollment-based funding, but right now, those don't have any ground. I think it's gonna take a couple of years of that before, it may be next legislative session, that is one of the big topics. But, COVID's showed us that is really the right way to go. We base everything we do on enrollment, we base our salary, we base all our teaching positions, all those type of things based on what our enrollment positions are, enrollment estimates are. So those are some of the things that, it may just take a little while to get that done.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Dodds, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
And team as well. Thank you guys.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda, let me see, it is 5:57, and we will move into closed session in accordance with Government Code Section 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney on any and all subject matters authorized by law. Section 551.072 for the purpose of deliberating the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, and Section 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. For those in attendance, we do not expect any action after executive sessions. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
The time is now 8:19, and the board has emerged from executive session. There is no business arising, and we will adjourn at 8:19 as well. Thank you.